You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair.
Developer Diary 232 is out, and we have a whole host of balance changes that'll be coming in the new 3.2 Herbert patch. We're getting changes to some of our favourite civics, political power is moving around a little bit, and they are doing something to try to rebalance Necro hives. Stick around to find out what's going on. If you enjoy this video, please balance that like button. The first thing I'm going to cover is the second half of this developer diary, which looks at performance improvements and some modability changes. Now, I'm not going to cover it in detail. Basically, I'm going to tell you that they have tracked through a whole bunch of little issues that were causing performance to take something of a nosedive. One example is the GreyGoo.500 event, which was trying to fire off a surprising number of times for an event that should only come into play when the Grey Goo are active, which they usually weren't. It turned out there that this was because the is triggered only was missing, so it was trying to fire on all planets every single day. Of course, that was a bit of a performance issue. They've now fixed that, along with a whole host of other things. If you want to find out more about that, go and check out the Dev Diary. The link is in the description. Now let's get to what I think is the meat of this Dev Diary, something very important, and that is balance changes. The new 3.2 patch, the Herbert patch, named after science fiction author Frank Herbert, which will be released alongside the Aquatic Species pack, which we currently still do not have a date on. Well, the Herbert patch will have a whole host of balance changes. Functional architecture and constructo bots, if you're on machine intelligence, are getting a nerf. They are reducing the free building slots granted from 2 down to 1. Now this will probably mean that functional architecture goes from being an auto-include in almost every biological empire build to more of a balanced choice. It is still very, very powerful. It is still meta, but it is not the master of meta civics. It's on the council, but it has not been granted the rank of master. Agrarian idyll or idyll empires now get 1 building slot for every 4 agricultural districts built. This is going to be quite interesting. This change is going to mean that if you are running an aquatic species with the special aquatic origin, where you've got ocean worlds with unlimited agricultural districts, you're now going to be able to fulfill your building slots requirement by using this civic. That could mean that it is actually now something that is useful again. Of course, with 3.0 and 3.1, they made a big change to the way we access building slots, and that really pushed Agrarian idyll down the pecking order in terms of useful civics. They have reduced the ship upkeep cost modifier for clone army admirals to 5, 10 or 20% based on their decisions. That's good. I think we need more balance for clone army origin, but it's good that they're going in the right direction with that. The ruins of Shalash Arc site no longer have a chance of giving quite as much unity as defeating an endgame crisis. Yes, that was rather silly. You can no longer use planet killer weapons, that is your Colossus weapons, on primitives inside your own borders if you lack the appropriate primitive interference policies. That makes a lot of sense. I would say that's less of a balance change and more of a bug fix though. Here is a big one for all of you slavers out there, specifically the slavers amongst you that enjoy the delicacies of the universe. All livestock jobs now have a 10% less political power modifier. That's going to mean the happiness of your livestock pops is even less important with regards to the stability of your planets, making them even more viable as an option. There are a whole host of anomalies in the game which reward you with a 3 society research deposit. Now there will be more variety. I think that's good. I honestly, it's quite boring every time you research an anomaly and it tells you, oh look, here's your 3 society research reward. Variety is the spice of life, and I'm in favour of that change. They've now made it so that awakened fallen empires will use traditions. That's actually quite scary. I didn't know that awakened fallen empires were not using traditions. That's going to mean we're going to see them with bonuses to their ship fire rate, all sorts of bonuses when they start picking traditions. Now we've got another thing which I would class as more of a bug fix than a balance change, but there are productivity improving technologies which used to increase both the production and upkeep by a certain percentage. Now that upkeep will only apply to jobs that actually primarily produce resources. That is going to mean that if you have something with that is a benefit to you, that will mean when you have jobs, for instance, entertainers that are producing something like amenities or clerks producing trade value, well, you don't want their upkeep to just randomly increase without getting a benefit. So now their upkeep is not going to be going up. It is a sad day for hive minds everywhere. Nerve-stapled hive mind pops can no longer perform complex drone jobs. It makes perfect sense from a thematic point of view, but it is very sad. It was lovely to be able to have a nerve-stapled brain-dead pop as the head of research, for instance, on your empire. Absolutely beautiful. But press F to pay respects, nerve-stapled hive mind pops are barred from complex jobs. They have also reduced the amount of jobs added by the leisure arcology districts to bring them in line with other ecumenopolis districts. That makes perfect sense. It's a little silly to have the leisure arcology districts producing more jobs than the other districts. So completely understand that one. Ion cannons are no longer free to maintain. This is one that actually I've not managed to notice, I have to say. I've got over 3,000 hours now. Never noticed ion cannons were free, but unfortunately they now have an upkeep cost of 8 energy. I wish I'd known beforehand, but them's the breaks. Now, Necro hives. There's a whole bunch of changes to Necro hives. At the moment they are very, very difficult to play. Very difficult indeed. What they've done to start with, they have reduced the necrophage pop assembly penalty to 50% from 75%. I assume this is only for necrophage hives and not for other necrophage pops, but we'll have to see. They have made pop output modifiers, both positive and negative, no longer apply to hive minds. That's an interesting change. They've made the minus 50% organic upkeep also apply to energy for photosynthesis. That's nice. And devouring swarm necrophages now spawn with extra infrastructure to account for the lack of chambers of elevation. That's a good balance change as well. None of these will make necrohives overpowered, and none of it will make them broken. However, it brings them more into line with a playable species. Thanks for watching.